What if I told you there's a country that measures success not by GDP, not by stock markets, not by skyscrapers, but by happiness? A country where plastic bags were banned before most of us even thought about it, where forests cover more than 70% of the land, and where carbon emissions are so low it actually absorbs more than it produces. Sounds like a utopia, right? Well, that country exists. It's called Bhutan. I went there back in 2015, and trust me, it felt like stepping into a different world. But the real story of Bhutan is far more complex than the travel brochures. Because while Bhutan has become a global symbol of balance and sustainability, it's also struggling with modern pressures, migration, and an economy that might not keep up. So today, let's dive deep into the story of Bhutan, the tiny kingdom that outsmarted the world, and whether it can keep it up in the 21st century. Until the 1970s, Bhutan was almost completely closed off. No TV, no internet, no outside influence. Even roads were scarce. But in 1972, a young king, Jigme Sengye Wangchuk, just 16 years old, became the monarch. And when a journalist asked him about Bhutan's GDP, he gave a line that changed the country's identity forever. Gross national happiness is more important than gross domestic product. It wasn't a throwaway line, it became Bhutan's guiding principle. And while the rest of the world was chasing factories, exports, and rapid growth, Bhutan took a very different path, protecting culture, nature, and well being above all else. Now, what does gross national happiness even mean? It's not people smiling all the time, it's measured through four pillars: sustainable development, environmental conservation, cultural preservation, and good governance. Every policy has to pass a happiness stress test. For example, should Bhutan build a dam, a road, a factory? The government doesn't just ask how much money will it bring. They also ask, will it harm the environment? Will it weaken our traditions? Will it reduce well-being? That's radically different from how most countries run. And you can see it everywhere. Advertising billboards almost non-existent. Smoking banned for years. Plastic bags gone since 1999. And here's the catch: Bhutan isn't actually ranked the happiest country in the world. The UN World Happiness Report usually puts it outside the top 90. Nordic countries like Finland, Denmark, Iceland top the list. So why do people think Bhutan is number one? Because Bhutan has marketed itself brilliantly. It may not score highest on surveys, but it's become the world's happiness brand. Here is something no other country can claim. Bhutan is carbon negative. Its constitution requires at least 60% of the land to remain forested forever. Right now, it's over 70%. These forests act like giant carbon sponges. The country also gets nearly all its electricity from hydropower. So while most nations are struggling to cut emissions, Bhutan actually absorbs more than it produces. It's a powerful message on the world stage. When Bhutanese leaders go to climate conferences, they're not begging others to act. They're saying, if we, as a tiny developing country, can do this, what's your excuse? But again, reality is more complicated. Hydropower brings money, yes, but it also makes Bhutan dependent on India, its giant neighbor and main buyer. And as climate change shifts rainfall and glaciers, even hydropower faces risks. When Bhutan opened up to tourism, it refused to copy Thailand or Nepal. Instead, it adopted a high-value, low-volume approach. For years, visitors had to pay $200 to $250 per person per day, a mandatory fee covering accommodation, guides, and a sustainability charge. The idea was simple: keep out mass tourism, attract wealthier, respectful travelers, used the money to fund schools and hospitals. It worked. While Nepal's Everest trails overflowed with backpackers, Bhutan's monasteries stayed serene. Tourists felt like they were part of something rare. But in 2022, after COVID, Bhutan raised the fee even higher, $200 a day just for the visa, on top of hotels and flights. Tourist arrivals collapsed. From over 300,000 in 2019, numbers fell by more than half. Supporters say this protects culture and nature. Critics argue Bhutan is pricing itself out, hurting local businesses and jobs. And that's the Bhutan dilemma: exclusivity versus growth, sustainability versus opportunity. Bhutan's biggest challenge isn't tourism or hydropower, it's people leaving. Thousands of young Bhutanese are moving abroad, especially to Australia. By 2023, estimates suggested nearly 1 in 8 young citizens were overseas. Why? Because Bhutan's economy, despite its beauty, isn't providing enough jobs or modern opportunities. And here is the irony: the very people Bhutan educated for free with public money are leaving to contribute elsewhere. Meanwhile, those who stay often struggle with underemployment. Some surveys show youth unemployment above 20%. National happiness sounds inspiring, but if young people feel they must migrate to build a future, what does that mean or say about happiness at home? Bhutan is a young country. The median age is under 30. This generation grew up with Instagram, TikTok, K-pop, Bollywood. They want opportunities their parents never imagined: startups, nightlife, international travel. But Bhutan's leaders are cautious. They fear too much modernization could erode what makes Bhutan unique. So the country is stuck in a balancing act. How do you open the door just enough without letting global consumerism wash away identity? It's a tough needle to thread. Bhutan has given the world an alternative vision, one that says success isn't just highways, malls, or endless GDP growth. It's about balance between economy, nature, culture, and well being. But Bhutan also faces real risks: an economy too dependent on hydropower, tourism that may not recover if fees stay too high, youth migration draining its future workforce, and climate change threatening its rivers and glaciers. The big question is, can cross national happiness survive globalization? Can Bhutan hold on to its soul while giving its young people the prosperity they deserve? When I was in Bhutan in 2015, I didn't just see mountains and monasteries. I felt a peace and pace of life that was slower, calmer, different. It made me wonder, maybe Bhutan doesn't have all the answers, but maybe it's just asking the right question. What if happiness, not wealth, was the measure of success? And maybe in a world chasing endless growth, this tiny kingdom in the Himalayas has something to teach us all.